Good morning and welcome to Winging It Buffalo Style. I'm Victoria Hogg.
And I'm Joe Arena.
And I'm Allie Hartwick.
Okay, we're just, knock on wood, with the Bills 2-0 and the Sabres yesterday in their first preseason game looked great. Let's take a look at some of those highlights.
Yeah,
we are starting off well. Slug Appreciation Day also was a huge hit at the Sabres store. Look how many people turned out to trade in their gear with the Sabres logo, Slug logo, for 41% off something new and comparable, like a hat for a hat, a shirt for a shirt. It was so busy. Look at that. Sabres president, Ted Black, he helped bag at one checkout, while Kim Pagula, Mrs. Pagula, helped
folding stuff,
a cashier and another one. So many people flocked to that, and that was during the game, not even during the day, which the store was open, not even during the game.
Yeah, they had the 41% discount, and it's just great to see like the Sabres front office and the owner's wife hanging out, you know, helping out. It's great. It's awesome.
Well, it's excellent that we didn't lose any momentum, it feels like, during the off-season. Like, the Pagulas are still very involved in the team, which I know everybody wanted to see. Plus, you know, we're kind of updating our Sabres look by going back to what it used to be, which is great.
Everybody hated the slug.
That was bad.
No one really
Not as bad as the red and black.
Like a sperm.
And hey, okay. And they,
right into that.
Right into that. They won last night.
Yes.
That's a good thing. You know, first game of the season, they play 5 games in 7 days. Pretty intense. But, you know, they're hockey players. They're used to that kind of stuff. But it's great to see how they, you know, they won pretty convincingly, 3-1, I think, or with an empty net or whatever. But
we watched this much of it, and it was the Gostad, Gerber, Coletta line. That was great.
Yeah, Coletta scored the empty netter. Gostad scored a goal. All right, well, did you hear about Pat LaFontaine, another famous Sabre, also played for the Islanders, played for a couple of New York teams? Well, you hear what he's doing. He's riding a bike, or his bike, with another former player, Steve Webb, all the way from Toronto to New York City, which is a 550 miles, which is a ton of miles. He hopes to get to New York tomorrow with a stop in Buffalo along the way. He's going to pass by Children's Hospital, so he's hoping to make the trip in 48 hours. We won't know if that'll happen or not, but it's for a great cause, and it's always good to see a guy that doesn't have to do anything, just get up and ride his bike 550 miles.
Yeah. You know? As a Sabre, he was great for the community here in Western New York. Even when he left, he always came back and did things. Anybody asks him for something, he's always been so willing and accommodating.
I think this is great, too. While, you know, 48 hours is a really lofty goal. That's a lot. But it's, I love things like this when anybody decides to do some amazing feat of athleticism for a good cause. Not only are you challenging yourself, but you're challenging others to, you know, meet that goal and do something good for the world.
Absolutely, and we hope he gets there safe, too, because it's not exactly, you know, kind of a dangerous thing to do.
And it's also raining, Somebody said watch out for the rain and the trucks.
Did you hear what he said? He's like, if you look at it on the map, it looks like it's all downhill and the wind will be behind me. That's what he said.
Good.
I love when athletes talk like me, and, you know, like other dudes. Like, if you look at it on the map, it looks like a downhill run.
We'll let you know if they, if and when, or when they get there.
Yes. So this is something everybody's talking about today. The premiere of 2.5 Men was last night. All of the rumors were confirmed, as you saw in the opening. Rose, who was Charlie's stalker, she admitted that, you know, while they got married in France, things went a little awry, and the next day he had a tragic accident.
Train?
Yes. And we have the opening.
Well, you can imagine my horror when the very next day he slipped on the metro platform and fell in front of an oncoming train.
That's Rose. We've loved her for many seasons. And then Ashton came in later. We saw him as, you know, the heartbroken individual after his wife has left him. We still don't know how the whole relationship, though, is going to work with him and Alan as the show goes on. And there's his dramatic entrance with Charlie Sheen's ashes scattered down.
They really wanted to send home the message that Charlie Sheen is gone.
Yeah.
For good.
He's not coming back.
Cremated him. They threw him in front of a train. He basically self-destructed, or exploded. So.
In more ways than one.
Pretty neat. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I was reading one of the headlines of the reviews, and they said you get, in replace of Sheen, at least you get nudity with Ashton Kutcher, because apparently he had taken off his shirt and he showed his, you know, somewhat cut abs.
Of course, all the men watching the show really feel good about that.
They were great. You know, what was also great was the roast of Charlie Sheen that was on last night.
Same time, right?
Timing on that. Did you watch it?
I watched the roast. I only made it through half of 2.5 Men. I was watching it with my grandma. I had to go home. Yeah, it was funny. It was really funny. They made a lot of jokes about 2.5 Men.
They do a good job on those roasts.
They do.
All right, yesterday, we kind of teased it yesterday that Anderson Cooper on his show, his guest, a very special guest, his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, And they talked about a lot of subjects. One that really hasn't been touched on by them in the past was the suicide of Anderson's brother.
And there was a moment when I thought I was going to jump over after him, but then I thought of you, and it stopped me from doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And
now, we should preface that with Gloria Vanderbilt was actually in the apartment when Carter, I believe his name was, he was on the balcony. He actually hung down and then let go. She was trying to talk him down. So at that same time when she said she saw him go over, she was ready to jump over. But as she was about to, she just thought of Anderson.
Sure.
And she couldn't leave him because their father had passed away when Anderson was 10. Right. And, you know, both of them choked up. It was very touching.
A tough subject to a lot of people would think to talk about on live or on TV, you know, in front of a live studio audience. So I think I give them a lot of credit for that, for airing that out on TV.
And it's a topic that they haven't discussed much. And I know everyone was assuming that this was going to be, you know, a very touching episode with the two of them. I don't think anybody thought it was going to get this deep into their family's issues. But they had a fun time, too.
Yeah.
They did lighten it up.
And, you know, it's almost therapeutic when we talk to a lot of families that have gone through a tragic loss in the news department. For a lot of them, it's therapeutic for them to talk and let it out and do all that on camera sometimes.
You know what? That's exactly what they did. Yeah. They had another family there, and Gloria actually called the mother who had just lost their son 45 days before of suicide.
So,
but there were happy moments.
Yeah, that's right. There were some happy moments. A much lighter part, we have to show you, Anderson took his camera phone to his mom's apartment to do a little interview with her in her art studio in New York. And in the middle of all of her artwork, he found a life-size cutout of himself, which is, you know, that's a mom. That's what they do. They collect stuff. They hang on to every little thing.
She saved all of his artwork.
Yeah.
I just watched it. So, and you know what else he found? From day one that he was on TV, she actually taped it. So he found all the tapes from the moment he started on television.
She's
and he
got an archive of it.
Well, you know what he said? I was more surprised that you knew how to work the VCR, Mom, than you actually taping it. But isn't that touching?
Mom. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'd love to go check out that Anderson archive. Just watch him from his beginnings.
That's awesome.
All right, it's back to school. We all know that. And as you get started making school lunches, you may realize that you have a very picky eater on your hands. So in this week's parenting segment, we talked to a few experts about how to encourage your kids to try some new foods.